Let's get back to Trump's mixed messages on the war with Iran.
95 days into this war and with talks on the brink of collapse. This morning, President Trump declaring negotiations are back on track. Complicating the deal, Israel's incursion into Lebanon, advancing deeper in the region to fight Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Iran threatening to call the talks with the U.S. entirely off. The president initially said he couldn't care less, saying the talks started to get very boring. But hours later, he was on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Sources describing the call as tense, with President Trump fuming at Netanyahu over the escalation. At one point asking him, "What the expletive are you doing?" and accusing Netanyahu of being ungrateful. The president then writing on social media that Israel and Hezbollah agreed to scale back the fighting, saying the talks are continuing at a rapid pace, and dismissing.
I feel like all this is so phony. The whole like Trump is yelling at Israel. Trump is really mad about Israel, guys. Like all this stuff is just fake as. It's the same state of play with Biden. I still think that they are gearing up for another incredibly stupid approach where they will try to bomb Iran again or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know if often, but it's not the first difficult and tough call they had. Although a senior U.S. official told me yesterday that it was definitely one of the worst calls they had, and that maybe there was one call over the war in Gaza that was more difficult than the call yesterday. And I think what led to this is a growing feeling that the president had that Netanyahu is out of control. I heard it from several of the president's people. And Trump, at the end of the day, wants to end the war with Iran and to de-escalate in the region more broadly. And he felt that what Netanyahu is doing in Lebanon and his plan to escalate the war further by expanding the Israeli ground operation.
Yeah, it's really cool how the White House staff with knowledge of Trump's phone calls with Israel only have one reporter's phone number, and it's the same phone number that Biden's staff with knowledge of his phone calls to Israel had. What are the chances? Maybe this is part of the memo during the White House transitions. If you want to leak phone calls with Israel, call this guy. Yeah, isn't that crazy? He's just got such deep insight, dude. I love that. I love how that works. Yeah, one Biden after another, one Brandon after another. Barack Ravi with a Sisyphus-like punishment of having to tweet the same thing over and over again. Deal is close. Insert U.S. president mad at Israel. Why is he called Unit 8200? It's just the name of the unit that he was a part of, the Israeli PSYOPs division that he was a part of when he was in the IDF. That's why I say Barack Unit 8200 Ravid. Ahmed Segal reported, this is all bullshit, but he's surgically attached to Bibi's butthole. Exclusive. According to a very senior official of the PM's team on the late night Netanyahu-Trump call, he's literally talking about Netanyahu. This is what Netanyahu wants the Israeli public to hear, or maybe even the American public to hear, the English-speaking public, because Ahmed Segal is writing about this in English instead of Hebrew. The Axios report is inaccurate. Trump did not make personal remarks about jail or claim that Netanyahu is hated globally. Instead, the tense call focused on conflicting social media posts. Trump felt Netanyahu implied the war was continuing at full intensity, while Netanyahu felt Trump implied a total ceasefire. Trump did note that defending Israel's global position is difficult and breeds hatred. Ultimately, the call ended with an understanding. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. This actually confirms Barack Ravid's reporting. I was skeptical about the Barack Ravid reporting to begin with, and I'm still skeptical about whether or not this is going to lead to any material changes. But now I actually do think that it happened, because clearly he just restated exactly what Trump would have said, but in a more polite manner. Trump did note that defending Israel's global position is difficult and breeds hatred. Ultimately, the call ended with an understanding. Israel will hold off on striking Beirut as long as it's not attacked within its own borders. Huh. Okay, got it. I never thought I'd see the day where decades-old dick-measuring contests between middling Israeli journals shape major chunks of our geopolitical reality, still waiting on Gil Riva to weigh in on the Oval Office transcripts. I don't think it's like a dick-measuring contest between journalists. I think it's more so a deliberate attempt to reframe and control the narrative, control the message. Benjamin Netanyahu feels a little bit embarrassed because obviously a big part of his appeal in Israel, a big part of the reason why Israeli society is fine with him is because he gets to say he has unprecedented access and unlimited access to the American American administration. He can basically dominate the American admin. Yeah, the other sign that the Axios leak might have been real is the way Mark Levin responded to it. But again, even if it is real, it doesn't matter. Joe Biden actually did say he was going to have a come to Jesus moment with Benjamin Netanyahu in the aftermath of the State of the Union. He was hot mic'd and he was caught on hot mic saying it. But what did that lead to? Nothing.
They talk all the time. Yes, they swear at each other. And the swearing, by the way, goes both directions. They literally are almost like siblings. They think very, very much alike when it comes to U.S. policy.
Gross, but also expected. Isn't that wonderful, dude? You really love hearing that. Amazing.
Israel and vice versa. I don't view this as anything other than business as usual. Netanyahu is in a real box with Hezbollah, because they started with a real ceasefire, and of course Hezbollah violated it within 2 minutes. And Netanyahu has no choice. He has to hit back.
And this is one of those things this guy is saying where this is appealing to absolutely zero people other than people who are already invested in Israel's defense. So pretty much 90% of people that hear this are going to be like, oh, you mean to tell me Donald Trump is the same as Benjamin Netanyahu? Yeah, I knew that. That's why I hate both of them. And like the 10% of people who are like, I love Israel and I love Donald Trump for defending Israel are gonna be like, oh, hell yeah, they have a brotherly bond.
To their constituencies, to their listeners.
Yeah, well, look, this is what happens when you get $5 a gallon for gas. Republicans are very frustrated. We did not vote for this at all. And I think a lot of the discrepancy is coming because Trump's trying to get a peace deal. He's trying to tone this down and get out of this and meanwhile take away Iran's nukes. But Israel doesn't want Iran to exist, right? That's the reality. And that's why they keep doing these things and screwing up our peace talks. But you're going to see that number continue to tick up the longer this conflict goes on. And that's why it's very important that President Trump gets
I don't agree at all. You're saying Israel does not want Iran to exist? Israel very much wants Iran to exist as a part.
Israel does not want the current government or the current state to exist as it does.
It's quote unquote screwing up the talks.
I think, unfortunately, and this sounds sort of unctuous, and I don't mean to, but I think the American public is not well educated on what Israel does for and with the United States and why Israel is such a key ally. And it's very popular right now to hate Bibi Netanyahu. But Bibi Netanyahu is fighting for the existence of his country. And when you're fighting for the...
Dude, it's 2026, man. Guys like this should not be allowed on television. It blows my mind that guys like this still go on TV and do not even care about how they are seen.
You were angry with him. You said, are you effing crazy? What are you effing doing? I helped you stay out of jail. Is that true? Did you speak to him in those terms?
I did. I wouldn't say angry. I was a little bit perturbed.
It's so funny that he admitted he said that to him, by the way. Hell yeah. The disagreements that they have are obviously immaterial, utterly irrelevant. Ultimately, Benjamin Netanyahu is still his daddy. But the fact that he's like choosing to air that out and defend it is good. Maybe the girlies are fighting. For the time being, it's irrelevant.
Among them, Kuwait, an attack comprising 13 missiles and 17 drones, the government said. Diplomatic missions struck, along with the international airport. The roof of Terminal 1 holding together.
Wait, I don't understand. This is confusing to me. Hold on. CENTCOM, the most reliable resource, told me that they intercepted all the missiles and that Iran was not capable of striking any targets. I'm so confused. This is smoldering ashes inside of an airport? What's going on? This doesn't look like the aftermath of all 100% successful interception. Trump then also debunked CENTCOM's false claim that the Iranian attacks were unprovoked or unjustified.
Mr. President, given Iran's attacks on Kuwait, this latest attack on Kuwait, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Well, you know, there's a reason for everything. And we hit them pretty hard the night before and actually last night. And when it was explained to me, I said, all right, so we'll do that. But we've been hitting them pretty hard, a little bit. So there is a reason for certain things, and there's usually a reason that action for a different reason. The negotiation itself has gone very well, actually. Very well.
Mr. President, yesterday.
Even if it happens, I mean, it might not happen, who knows? But if it happens, it could happen like over the weekend.
What do you think it will take for the Houthis to get involved? Iran has to say.